Welcome to our podcast. This is Friends on Fire.
I'm Mike. I'm a lifelong devotee of financial independence. I even wrote a book about it.
And I'm Maggie, a newer convert, but just as passionate, especially on the intersection of minimalism and financial independence.
We're one and the same.
We are two like-minded friends who believe that talking about money with your friends and family opens the door to financial well-being.
The Friends on Fire podcast is about dispelling myths, building financial acumen, and sharing your financial independence journey with the people you care about.
This is Friends on Fire.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Maggie.
Hi, Joel.
Hi.
Hey, Joel. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Back. So we're having Joel, your namesake, Mike. I don't know why I call you Michael. It sounds like you're in trouble. Yeah. Mike's namesake, the other O'Leary. We've had him on before. We had him on, if only I knew my episode numbers. You don't know that off the top.
61.
Look, how do you know that?
Yeah.
I just took a
Okay, I was like, that's actually impressive. It was not 61.
Right.
Oh, nice.
I totally believed you. And now I'm like, what was episode 61? Because it was not you. You were episode 37. Nope.
Ooh,
different
wow,
Joel.
that was a long time ago.
Nope. That was a different Joel. I just searched Joel in my episode
Oh, not
list.
37?
That was Joel How to Money Joel.
This is a rough start to the show.
Actually, it was 61. You were right. Well, he knows the other Joel.
I've got a thing with numbers, actually. I don't know why I thought 61.
I thought you were actually just randomly like pulling a number out of thin air. Yes, we had you on. Well, it was the magical number. We had you on episode 61, Habits, Happiness, and Hard Work, with your
that was a good one.
Your, what do you call it? Like your handle, 5 a.m. Joel, that you sometimes go by.
Yeah, 5 a.m. Joel.
Yes.
I get up at 5 a.m. every morning. That's why.
Impressive. I also get up at 5 a.m. LA time.
So that was one of our most popular episodes. Now, Joel, I have some bad news.
True story.
You are no longer in the top 10. Now, it is not because your episode wasn't fantastic. It was because we've been just getting a lot more listeners and our newer episodes just get a lot more downloads than our old ones. So it is my goal to have you back in the top 10 with this episode.
Okay. Well, we have to talk about something really, really good then.
We're going to talk about, this is one of the most important topics we can talk about. So we wanted to bring you on to talk about outrageous generosity, giving back, and a lot of topics that you talk about in some of the daily emails that you send out as 5 a.m. Joel. But we also have gotten a lot of questions and requests for show topics on charitable giving. So we wanted to kind of combine those two topics.
All of those topics relate back to the timing of where we are now in the calendar year. We're coming up on Thanksgiving. It's an important time to reflect on what we are thankful for. And when we are thankful and when we have and when we have enough in our lives, it's a good opportunity to be generous and give back. And so we have also done some Black Friday shopping stuff, and that is an important part of Thanksgiving as well. But I think this is a much more important message, and we're really excited to have you on, Joel, to talk about it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, welcome back. So because we have had so many requests specifically on how we include charitable giving in our budget and just our kind of general views on it, I think we should just touch on that. And then I want to get into these broader topics around generosity and spend most of our time there. Not that charitable giving isn't important, but I think when people often think of charitable giving, they think of like making a very quick and kind of benign, I don't even know if that's the right word, but just a one-sided, like, I'm going to go make $100 donation to UNICEF, right? And they give the money, they make a donation, and they move on with their lives. And I hope what we're going to talk about tonight is more of, how you go further than that, right? How you get more hands-on, how you, I don't know if you coined this term, Joel, but you've talked about outrageous generosity. And I love that term.
I don't think I coined it, actually, my friend Steve, but we can get into that.
Steve credit for
but
it.
I think I know what you mean, because I feel like if you didn't grow up giving, if you weren't taught how to just give, you think that it's just like parting with your money or parting with your stuff. But I think what we're going to talk about more is like adding some personality into it. Because it's really hard to like part with your stuff But if you know it means something more to the other person, then it's easy because it's personal and you sort of get something back. So part of giving is receiving. And so that's I don't know. It takes a while to wrap your head around, but yeah, we can get into different ways. We can talk about that too.
Yeah, I love your comment about adding some personality to your giving. And so you just referenced your, if you didn't grow up giving, I've seen you write about this a bit, but just tell us how you started to learn about the importance and value of giving back at a young age. Like, I think that would be interesting for people to hear.
Yeah, sure. So I have the best parents in the world. They're awesome. They taught me how to budget as a kid, and right from my first dollar that I ever earned off of them by doing chores around the house, they made me tithe or give to the church 10% of everything that I earned. So it was time to earn $1. My parents would hold back 10 cents. There were other buckets for saving and stuff like that. That's the sort of budgeting side. But, then at Sunday school, I'd have something to give, it'd be something that's mine that I'd have to give up. So that was ingrained in me from the start. And then the amount started to get bigger and bigger, and some, interesting things happened from there. When I started working at McDonald's, I might have like $5 to give or $10. Actually, I started working on the weekends and we stopped sort of going to church as a family. And so my charity bucket just kept growing and growing. And I think I had $100 in it at one point. And my mom said, you know what we should do? This family that we know, they're just buying a house and they're struggling a little bit financially. We should all put our charity together and put this cash in an envelope and go and give it to this family. And so that was sort of like a different side of charity that wasn't giving to the church or giving to like a foundation or whatever. It was so personal to see the looks on these people's face of family, friends that we were giving to. And because I did it from the start, I just, I thought of it as money that wasn't mine to begin with. It was just always 10%. So that was really cool. And I think I'll mention one other thing that my parents did. This is, I don't do it anymore, but my mom connected us 4 kids with 4 other kids from another country as part of the Compassion program, where you sponsor a family over in, a third world country. And it was pretty cool because, you pay to sponsor the kid, and then you can also exchange letters. And so as a kid, I had a pen pal over there who, we had to share stories with. And there's pretty strict criteria when you're telling stories or asking questions of these kids in third world countries, because you can't tell them that you got a guitar for Christmas, because they don't have anything
That's
like that over there.
That's not helpful. Yes, not
Right.
going to make them feel better.
So as a kid, you sort of learn to think in the other person's shoes, and I think that is a lot of I don't know, what we'll talk about later, this prosocial activity is just having a little bit of compassion for where the other person's situation. And I was lucky enough that some of that was ingrained into me at a young age. So yeah, super thankful to my parents. I think it was just a leg up with this type of stuff in life for me.
So it's interesting to hear you describe it that way, because the example Maggie gave, which I think is how many people, if not most people, think about charitable giving, is a cash donation to a faceless organization that goes and does something, and you believe in their mission, but you really have no idea what their money goes. And what you described was a little bit different. And if I can summarize this, and let me know if this is accurate, the first thing that you did or your parents did, was created kind of an automation of behavior where you didn't even see the money as your own, and it was always just part of what you were going to do to give it away. And then it sounds like all the activities you did were very personalized or very personal to you. So you were giving money to a church that you went to people that you know, or you gave it to people that you knew, or you interacted with children that you had some sort of relationship with. And so it's interesting to hear you just completely flip Maggie's example into perhaps how you should be seeing charitable giving.
Well, okay, you're making me first of all sound like this wicked saint that like I loved it.
You said your parents were awesome. We're making your parents sound awesome because
they were, and they are. I think no. What I want to say was like, this story is coming from reflection, years of like thinking back and processing, and also thinking about how I'm going to raise my kids. You know, I think at the time it was definitely tough as a kid to part with your money. It's definitely tough to share your toys and give stuff and all of that. So it was sort of like forced. And then something really cool happened. And I don't know when the transition, I'm going to just say it's probably somewhere in my early 20s. It turned from like forced giving and like to like, maybe like I want to do more of this stuff. So when you leave home and you're fully on your own, you can make up your own budget. You know, when I was in my 20s, my mom wasn't responsible for my budget anymore. She wasn't looking over to see if I was tithing 10%. So it was up to me to go and make those decisions, right? And then that's where I could get really creative on my own and think about, well, why am I, saving this money on this side? Is there another way to do it? Is the stuff that I'm doing meaning something toward, like, for me? And what's the impact I'm making out there? Yeah, so that got some really creative things. When I left Hawaii to move to LA, I gave away my motorbike and my car. And they're only worth a couple of $1,000 each, nothing major. But I remember a lot of people at the time, they're like, dude, what are you doing, giving away your car? And it's, for me, it was just like, why not do something really, really kind for someone that doesn't have a car or that's struggling or whatever. So anyway, those are the things that are like, it doesn't have to be about money. It doesn't have to be about partying with your money. It's more about giving what you can, giving what you're in abundance of. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like your comment that, when you were a kid, it was forced. And I think about that with my own kids of, there's times that I have forced them to give financially and their time and do volunteer activities. And it's a little bit like they're not doing it. Sometimes they're doing it more willingly for the first like 5 minutes, like most things with kids. And then there's a lot of complaining afterwards. But it makes me happy to even hear how you kind of came out the other side of like, it still instilled the right kind of habits and empathy and compassion in you that you took into your adulthood when you could make your own decisions about what to do with your money.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, there's the flip side. And this is why I continue to do it now, is because you start to see this ripple effect in your life. And then, you realize that the more you give away, the more you help other people, the more success you see personally. And do you know how many gifts I've been given in life? How many blessings I have? It's, I'm not saying it's directly a 1-to-1 ratio of everything I've given, but man, when I do good stuff for other people, like good stuff happens to me everywhere I look. There's just opportunities falling around. So I'm just going to keep doing it because it's this weird, like, they call it the wonderful paradox. You make it, everyone's focused on getting everyone else what they want, and then you sort of like end up with what you want. So that was part of the turning point, is I think I stuck around long enough to see the beauty of it. Mm-hmm. And so that definitely helped.
So let's dig into that a little bit, because I think it's really interesting, and I'm sure you've done some reflecting on it. So it's probably a little bit more than just karma and the universe, showing you some favors. There's probably some practical reasons why being generous puts you in a situation where you find good opportunities and you find generosity bestowed upon yourself. So what are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, again, it's hard to draw conclusions. So you could say it's karma. I actually... I wrote about this last year. This is so random. My wife's parents offered to upgrade our car, and I was thinking, this is so weird. I gave a car away, 10 years ago, and now someone's trying to give me a car. That's like weird, one for one. We could call it karma, we could call it things coming back around. That was the one where I was like, oh, car for car, funny. But usually it's more like, I don't know, just random blessings happen to you. You got to try and make sense of it. I think it's all part of the same thing. We're all like sort of interconnected, if you will. But the other thing I'll say is sometimes it's just the feeling that I'm searching for. So This year and last year, I started volunteering at Meals on Wheels. Actually, I've been doing it a few years now. And it's just every Friday. It's not, hugely, every single day or anything like that. And it's just for a couple hours at the time. So I deliver these meals, and it's 2, 3, 4 hour activity, but it makes me feel really good for the entire week. And so it's trading just a little bit of it's not great work. It's not hugely fun, but I feel great afterwards. And, I'm really happy with myself afterwards. There's a lot of satisfaction that comes from it. And so anyway, sometimes it's just the feeling that comes back around. It makes you a more solid person. I don't know.
Why do you think you feel so good after just using the Meals on Wheels example, after volunteering?
It's probably the stories you collect along the way, and seeing other people's situations. So you think you're having a bad day. Well, come volunteering with me and I'll show you people that then don't just have a bad day. They've got dealt a raw hand in life.
Every day.
Yeah. They would switch lives with you in a second. And you think you're living someone else's dream life. The truth is, out of I don't know what the poverty rate is now, out of the 8 billion people in the world, probably 3 billion are living in poverty. So you're actually living 3 billion people's dream life, not just one person's dream life. You don't realize how lucky we are. So anyway, I think that's probably what it is seeing, just gratitude for what I have and being reminded of it, thinking of it myself, but then also being reminded of it face to face with people. That's a whole nother level.
Well, I mean, it creates, the reason I was asking that is I have my own views on kind of why I feel good from doing things like that. But I think it's perspective, which is a different word for what you were just describing. But you're reminded, like you said, firsthand, you get that perspective and you see it with your own eyes, and it reminds you everything you have to be grateful for. And there's also real human interactions and connections, and you're doing something good, and there's the giving back component of it.
Yeah. I don't know if we're going to bring this up later, but I thought of some really cool ways, because now is the giving season, right? And this is when we want to encourage people to start doing these type of cool things. And I thought of some cool ideas, some free and cheap ways to give back and whatnot. So do you want to do that now, or do you want to talk about it later?
No, let's do it now.
Yeah, but
it.
You're going to need to number them and put them in a list, because that's how we do all of our great episodes. So how many items do you have, Joel? And
61.
then we'll give you a drum
61.
roll and you can count them down.
Are you serious?
61
No,
items.
he's just joking,
here.
Joel. Don't worry about numbering them.
Okay, I won't. I'm just going to hot fire these off.
There's 15.
No, I was just thinking of some okay, so here's one I'm really excited to try. Someone hit me up last year and they're like, oh, I like your ways to give back and whatever that you wrote about. But what I'm going to do this year is there's this program, and I'm going to have to look this up, but I think it's called Find a Grave or something like that. And basically, with people not being able to travel right now because of COVID and stuff like that, you connect with someone, and one of their relatives is buried somewhere in your neighborhood or at a gravestone at a cemetery near you. So you basically go and visit that person's relative's grave for them, and you can leave them something or say something or whatever. But it's a nice way to basically do someone else a favor that's across the country that cannot travel, and that means so much to them. So anyway, that's when I thought that's a wicked use of my time. I would feel great helping people. If you imagine someone wrote you and said, hey, there's a cemetery on the corner. Do you want to go and visit my, great grandma's grave? I haven't been able, we go every year, but I haven't been able to go this year. Yeah. How cool is that?
As long as it's not on Halloween at midnight. I'm going to need you to visit it at 2
our tradition is it's in the middle of the night. Yeah. That is a great idea. And I did Google Find a Grave. I'm not sure if that's the exact program you're referring to, because Find a Grave is just the world's largest database of cemeteries and gravestones. But maybe somewhere deep inside that website
I'm gonna
is
have
the
to
pairing
find this
process.
We're going to have to link to it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
That's an out there one that I just heard of, and I was like, I'm going to try that. Here's a cool one that you might not know of. Operation Elf. You ever heard of that?
Mm-mm.
Sounds familiar.
Okay, this is This is put on by USPS, the Postal Service. And so many kids each year write letters to Santa. They've started like reading some of them and then sponsoring these kids and posting these letters online. And so strangers can go on, sponsor one of the letters, and send the kid toys that they're asking for.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
Yeah. And they come from, they qualify the kids through, their background or the way that they received the letter and all of that stuff. Yeah. And so Operation Elf.
Joel, do you watch, or Joel or Mike, are you guys watching Ted Lasso, the new season?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you know, they didn't reference that charity, but the owner of the team, I can't think of her name now, the blonde haired, I love her. She's a great character. The owner of the team on Christmas, she took Ted Lasso and was delivering presents to a few families. And it was something like Operation Elf. She clearly had a list of what they wanted and was like surprising them with, all of their requests, but she was doing it in person. But it was, that's a great concept. I love it. Okay. Keep going.
Well, hand in hand with that is the layaway toys. And I'm sure you've heard of this one. You go to the layaway section of Walmart or Target or whatever, people that have put they can't afford these toys for their kids. So they go and make payments on them as part of layaway. And you can go to that department, ask them if there's any toys back there. Usually the people dealing with it will know the sad stories and whatever. You can go and pay someone's layaway for them. The next time they come to the store, they're going to just pick up the toys for free. And, a lot of it's kids stuff. So anyway, that was sort of hand in hand with the Operation Elf. You're helping the kids out there, which is awesome. Yeah. A lot of people don't know you can gift your airline miles. This is a weird one because I never fly United or American Airlines. I've got my miles with whoever, Southwest and stuff. So I've got a couple thousand miles with these carriers that I'll never use and they're going to expire. So I may as well donate them. So there are these websites set up where you can easily donate your miles.
We know this because we work for a hotel company and you can do the same thing with hotel miles. And we often during the holidays encourage guests to donate to causes, or if there's a natural disaster, people can donate them to, the Red Cross or various organizations.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
wicked. Can you donate me some free hotel nights? I want to.
Unfortunately, I don't get free hotel nights, or I would.
That's awesome. That's one that I thought was cool. And then another way I thought of giving that doesn't cost anything money-wise is to donate your expertise and services, like pro bono. And if there are a lot of business owners out there that already do it through the holidays, they own a store and they give discounts, or they own, they've got a doctor's office and they give some free, pro bono cases or something like that. But as individuals, I think we can do it as well. If you're really good at, I don't know, fixing bikes or something, you can put a quick ad out there and fix a couple of people's bikes for free. Doing favors for people with your skill set. It doesn't cost anything. It makes you feel great afterwards. It connects you with people, and showing others generosity has probably got a ripple effect that they go out and do generous things for other people. So that's just another one I wrote down. I've got another one, and this everyone can do, and everyone can do right now, and it's absolutely free. Amazon. We all buy stuff from Amazon. If you, instead of going to Amazon.com, you go to smile.amazon.com, and then everything you buy, they siphon a tiny bit off to go to a charity of your choice.
Yeah. We do this for our kids' school because most schools have an account for this.
Oh, awesome. I didn't know you could name schools in there. That's cool.
They're it's a nonprofit. I mean, anything where they're raising money. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Maybe I'll do that. I have a charity set up right now for that. It's you sort of I don't know, picking a charity's hard when you don't know any of them personally. Kind of going back to what we were saying before. So picking a school is a great way to, if you know someone that goes there or you go there, it's a great way to contribute.
Yeah. The reason I love a lot of those, Joel, is because they're just creative ideas, and so you get to it opens people's minds to, again, it's not just charitable giving is not just about donating kind of mindless cash to some organization. And I'm not knocking that, right? There are times I've been at the times in my life where I'm just incredibly busy and the best I can do is throw money at something. And that's okay. Not knocking it. Those many organizations need financial support. But I will say, I personally have found much more value and joy from giving in a much more hands-on way. And a lot of the things you just named are much more hands-on, right? In terms of just kind of what the activity looks like. And some of them are, time related, which is another thing. So, I mean, there's points in life when you have more money. There's points in life when you have more time. And it's okay to kind of swing between those two things in terms of what you're able to give.
Yeah, I think you touched on something pretty cool. I heard a phrase the other day that, usually you give whatever you're in abundance of. And so, for example, if I have 100 apples, I can't eat 100 apples. I can only probably at max eat like 5. So I have to give them away. I'm not going to throw them away. If you're in abundance of money, if you've got $10 million and you only need $4 million to live, you can give 6 away. There's so much you can do with that. That's money related. What about time? Like, for those people that are retiring early, I'm going to be retired in my 40s. I can give decades to other people to help them, to do stuff for them. Give whatever you're in abundance of, or a little bit of everything. Yeah. Like I said, and your skills and creativity. So yeah, give whatever you're in abundance of. Give what you can.
I love that. One of my favorite books is called The Most Good You Can Do. Have you ever heard of it or read of it, either of you?
No, I'm going to add it to my list right now, though.
One of the things that I love about it is, in line with what we're talking about right now, there are different times in your life when the most good you can do is different, right? Sometimes it's going to be money, sometimes it's going to be time, and it's going to ebb and flow, and that's okay. And he gives these kind of really fascinating examples. And for me, I'm going to give you an example in a minute, but for me, it was a powerful kind of bigger point that the book makes, because I've always in the back of my head at different points in my career thought, what am I doing in this type of a job? I should have a job where I'm giving back more. My brother and I have had a lot of discussions about this too. And thinking that we need, like, there's times in his life where he was going to go quit his job and work for PETA. And that was, gonna drive him, and he wanted to help animals and, all these other things. And we've had these discussions. And I think what's fascinating about a bigger point he makes in this book is, for some people, the most good they can do is to go get a job on Wall Street, make millions of dollars, and give it back to things that they care about. For other people, it might be moving to Africa and volunteering, or, taking a really low paying job with a nonprofit or volunteering or whatever it is. And for someone else, it might be going to medical school and becoming an amazing doctor and, spending a few months a year being able to, travel with Doctors Without Borders, whatever it is. But the point was, we all have this, many people have this calling to think, is this what I'm doing with my life? I should be doing more to give back. And his point throughout the book is, think about what is the most good you can do for your personal situation in life at any given point. And I just love that concept.
So Joel, your thoughts. Do you think that instead of doing all the generous stuff you do with your life right now, you should have actually gone to Wall Street and earned $10 million a year?
Yeah, I know. No, I think...
Are you doing the most good you can do?
Well, it's funny. Someone the other day was like, Mark Zuckerberg gave, $1 billion to this charity or whatever. I can't even give, this much. I'm such an asshole. And I was like, dude, don't compare yourself to someone else. No, there is no right or wrong way to give. So yeah, sure. The Wall Street guy is going to hopefully, give back if he's in abundance of money. That doesn't mean you have to. And so, yeah, there is no right or wrong way. You can start small, you can start big, whatever it is, personalize it. But no, I'm not going to go to Wall Street.
I like your comment, Joel, that you can, start big, you can start in different ways. And you talk about that in a blog post that we'll give a link to on Budgets Are Sexy, where it's called How to Include Charity in Your Budget and Other Ways to Give, which is a great article people should go read. But I love the concept that again, it's personal, and it again can kind of ebb and flow throughout your life, but just thinking of different ways that you can give back. And I'll just give a personal example. I am married for the second and hopefully final time. And when I got married to my husband, I don't even remember when exactly we had this conversation. But at the time I was like really into this organization called Charity Water, which is a pretty well-known charity that got a lot of press for like doing things differently and kind of innovating the charity space, which is a whole nother fascinating topic from a like business development marketing standpoint. But at the time, I never really appreciated or liked like engagement rings. I like to wear a wedding band. I just didn't, it wasn't something that I valued or cared about in life. And so at some point, I don't even know if, again, I can't really remember how it started because I have a bad memory. I have to ask Greg, but I told him I would rather him just make a charitable donation to Charity Water in the amount that he would have spent on an engagement ring. And he was like, that's awesome. I think it made him even more attracted to me. That's how I sealed the deal with Greg, actually.
And then was he like, I made a $75 donation to Charity
He's like,
Water.
that was all I was going to spend. No, he donated like a nice chunk of change to, I made him give me the receipt, so I wanted records of this.
Was it trust but verify engagement? Is that what this was?
Yeah, exactly. Trust but verify. But it, and I think about it, and I will comment to Greg at times. Often when I look down at my wedding band, I think about that and it makes me happy. It makes me, so my point was sometimes the way you give could even be giving up something that you don't need, right? Thinking about something that is like a obligatory custom that exists in this world that, again, for someone who really values having like an engagement ring, like I'm not knocking you, but I don't value it. And so to me, it was a very easy way for me to give back and, redirect funds that I just don't need. And it's an abundance thing too, right? So I love, we've used the word abundance a number of times.
That just got me thinking another thing with, if you're just starting out giving, like we said, it's if you haven't grown up with it and you're not used to it, it's difficult to allocate a large chunk of your budget to go and go and give, right? It's tough. You can pull out thousands of dollars and just give it. So, how do you sneak it into your budget and how do you make it become a little bit automatic? I noticed that this a long time ago when people would ask me to hey, I'm doing a fund run. Can you give me $50? I'd always be like, oh, come on, man, don't bother me. Or I don't know, everyone's asking me for just $50. I don't know, it's sort of like a pain because I really do want to give, but I'm also I'm trying to do all this other stuff as well, but they're kind of making me feel bad. So what I did was I sort of beefed up one of the line items in my budget, which was for gifts. And so throughout the year, we've got all of our Christmas gifts, everyone's birthday gift, everyone's having kids and getting married and stuff. So I've got thousands of dollars in this gift category. So beefing that up just a tiny bit more, a few $100, then I can start to say yes to people throughout the year and feel good about saying yes without even hesitation. Yes, because I've got the money. I know it's in my budget. It's accounted for, and it's part of the gift fund, the giving fund, right?
Yeah.
And so that was a cool way to think, you know what? If it's in your budget and it's in there, you can start to say yes throughout the year and you start feeling great throughout the year. You're always the guy that says yes. Yes, I'll sponsor your fun run. Yes, I'll donate to breast cancer awareness. Yes, I'll give you $5 when I come out of the store and you ask me to buy the cookies or whatever they do these days. So anyway, that's sort of a cool one that people can do, that they can sneak in charity into their budget without it really I don't know, it just lightens up your year versus always feeling bad about it.
I think just the idea of putting it in your budget is a great, very tactical thing for people that are trying to track their expenses and keep a budget, is put it in your budget. And also I think about the trade-offs too, right? Of, when someone does, because I get the same thing, especially when you have kids and, people are buying stuff from your kids that they're selling to raise money for something. And then when someone comes to you, you want to reciprocate and everything. Thinking about the trade-off too of saying, look, when that kid comes and is trying to sell me popcorn that quite honestly, I don't even want the popcorn. I just want to give them the money. I often will think hey, that popcorn purchase is just me going out to dinner this Friday or something. Right. And am I still going to be fine if I just don't go out to dinner on Friday? Yeah, I'll be totally fine. Right. And so I think sometimes it's even just, a little trade-off with something else in your budget if you have not yet put it in your budget, perhaps.
Yeah, that's a really good way. Or the other one I think is like a pay it forward type of thing. So like I was buying something online the other day. I asked for a discount. I get a $50 discount. So then I'm sort of up $50. So next time when I'm selling something online, or like someone helps, like a delivery guy comes and he does a wicked job, I can give him $50 without like, hesitating, because I got given $50. So like the pay it forward is a pretty interesting way to think of it. Sort of the reverse of the do good things and other things good will happen to you. It's sort of like when good things happen to you, do it to other people too, because it's sort of like a direct one way to give.
You know what that made me think of? We always hear in the news, they're like, some Starbucks pay it forward that lasted 800 cars or something. And every single time I hear one of those stories, I'm always thinking about like, who was the one asshole who was like, nope, I want this to end right now.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I always think of the guy who's like, I'll just want the one latte, please. And they're like, okay, look, there's a family of 8 behind you, and they're going to get
Right.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love those stories.
So on that note, you have talked about this outrageous generosity. We mentioned that term earlier, and you've written a few emails in your 5 a.m. Joel daily emails where you talk about your friend Steve and some of the cool things he's done. I'd love for you to share some of those examples, because I think they're super inspiring and just really great examples of being outrageously generous. It's a tongue twister. And just giving directly versus kind of through, again, we're not knocking like, charitable donations, cash donations to an organization, but there's a much more kind of like direct human element and connection in some of the things that he's done.
Yeah. So my buddy Steve, he went through this 90-day, like, I don't know, it was sort of like a writing and reflection exercise. At the end of it, you come out with this credo. It's like this dot point list of very specific like principles that you live your life by. And one of them on the list was called be outrageously generous. He created it for himself. This is what he wants to live by. So he reads his credo, every day, a week or whatever. And then when you're out there in the world, like doing stuff, you sort of like spot these situations where you're like, you know what? I want to be outrageously generous right now. Or one of his other ones was be uncommonly patient. That's a super interesting one. He's like standing in a line and the person in front of him's like taking so much time or kicking up a fuss or whatever. In a situation where he'd usually go nuts, he's like, no, I'm going to be uncommonly patient. So anyway, he's emailed me a couple stories. One of them comes to mind right now. This guy called him up or called his business and said, hey, do you buy household items? I need to sell some stuff. He had a real sub story. This guy was living in his car. He had 3 kids with him, and it was horrible. He had a storage locker with all of his stuff in it, and the locker place was going to lock it up. They, the storage locker place, he owed, I don't know, a month back rent or something like that. So Steve was like, you know what? I'm not going to buy your stuff, but I'll tell you what, I'll pay for a month of storage for you. Not only that, I'll put you to work. Come to me Monday at 8 a.m. and I'll have a job for you. I don't know what it is yet. I'll pay you a couple $100 a day and you can help, I don't know, move stuff or whatever it was. I'm going to help you. And that's the type of, and he basically changed this guy's life because he told himself weeks before that he's going to be outrageously generous from now on. And so that's one of the cool things. It's sort of like once you commit to a life of being nice or being generous, or being patient, you start to see opportunities to do more of it in your daily life. So anyway, that's where one of the emails came from, was Steve being outrageously generous.
I love it. And I think we've said this a couple of times, but I think those scenarios remind you and like give you more fuel for how good it feels for you and how good it feels for the other person. Right. And it really is, I can't think of a better word than like win-win, but
Yeah. Another one I've been doing recently, this is kind of fun, and it's on a much smaller scale, but I get kicks out of it. Basically, like I've got stuff I can give away in my house because, whatever. But if you list something for free, then you don't really know who it's going to go to because everyone will come and grab it, whether they need it or not. So, but if you sell it, you know it's going to someone that wants it because they're willing to pay money for it. So I was selling this office chair the other day. Like I would have been happy with, I don't know, maybe it was worth $100 or something, but I listed it for like, I don't know, 60. I can't remember the dollar figures. This lady came all the way from, I don't know, Inglewood or something like that. It's pretty far across traffic. She finally got to our house and she's like, here you go. She gave me the money, and I was like, you know what? I want to give some of this money back to her. So I said, here you go. Here's some money back. And she was just so thankful, so thankful. And like I said, I would have given it away for free anyway. Like I don't really care about that small amount of money. To me is a huge amount to someone else. So then it got me thinking, you know what? For everything that I sell now, I'm going to give someone just a tiny discount, but give them the discount when they give you the money. It just means so much to them. You get to see their face and their eyes light up. So anyway, that was something small and cool that I like to surprise strangers with. So.
If their eyes don't light up, are you going to grab the money back?
Yeah, the deal's off.
You're like, yeah, that was not the right amount of gratitude I wanted to see in your eyes. I'm totally just joking. Please don't send me any hate messages over that. 100%.
Actually,
joking.
Another cool thing I like to say is when they take off, they're like, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. I'm like, yeah, no worries. Pay it forward. Like, just, do a favor to someone else. And they say, yes, of course I will. Of course I will. And they commit to it right there. So you sort of like, there's a ripple effect. So that's kind of cool.
I just realized we have a good episode for our third meeting with you, Joel, and it will be Surprising Strangers with 5 a.m. Joel.
Well, it sounds like I'm a streaker and I'm walking around with a trench coat, and
as long as you got cash in that trench coat, that you're handing out to everybody. Okay. So I get us off this topic. Tell us about, you said it earlier and you've written a post about it, prosocial activity. Like, what is that term? What does it mean?
I only came across this term very recently. I don't know what it was until now, but I got some thoughts around it. Prosocial activity is basically, it's activity that benefits other people. And it could be small things like maybe just being mindful of someone else's situation or thinking about something in their perspective, having compassion, showing compassion or empathy for someone's situation, helping them out, helping out a stranger. Like prosocial activity in the animal world would be two monkeys that are grooming each other. Like it's for the benefit of the other person, right? And then they get the benefit also. Even just smiling at people and being nice, that's prosocial activity, and it increases your happiness and all these other things. And so, my sort of mindset the other day was, or in this book that I read, it said even 2 minutes of prosocial activity each day means 12 hours per year of prosocial activity. And I'm like, 2 minutes a day? Who can't give 2 minutes every day just to be nice to someone else? So anyway, that's prosocial activity. And then sort of my closing thought on that now is we as money nerds are all about financial independence and independence in general, living so that we're not basically taking from anyone else. So independence is super important because we don't want to be dependent on someone else for our money and all that stuff to live. However, if you think about it, we are all connected to each other and dependent on one another because we all do different things in this world. And that's called interdependence. So in a household situation, you might have 6 members of the household, and they all do different things to contribute to the household. Maybe one of the household members earns money. Maybe one of the household members does all of the cooking or, shopping or whatever. Maybe each household member takes turns in doing people's washing or, so everyone contributes and then everyone benefits as well. It's interdependence. So anyway, that's sort of like my thought about where is my place in this world. I can go and be completely independent if I want and go live on an island and not see anyone and just provide for myself, or I can connect with the world and provide for myself and others, and then others will provide for me also in random weird ways. So anyway, that's how I define prosocial activity.
I love it. One of the things many things you were just talking about reminded me of, this is a random aside, but I've always been fascinated by like commune living. And they somehow seem to often come with like cults and other things, which I'm not, wanting.
Wow, this really is a random aside.
Well, it's related to what you're saying. Like,
weird.
I love the idea of just everyone has different values and skills that they can bring to a community. And if we were all able to do a better job sharing and leveraging each other as a community, all of our lives would be better, right? We would all be happier. And so there's that aspect of like commune living and like sister wives and like, look, I'm not talking about the other elements of sister wives because I see y'all's faces, but it is, you think about the idea of multiple people living in a household together, all helping and doing things together versus we all live in our like siloed individual lives. Now, again, I'm not talking about those specific situations because there's so many negative / illegal / everything else pieces that come with that. But there's the good parts of it, which are, yeah, go ahead. Because Mike's looking at me like I lost it.
No, Maggie, I love it. Okay, I'll give you a real world situation. And maybe we talked about this on my last time on the show with you guys, but my parents growing up would divvy out chores for us kids. I have 3 siblings, so there's 4 of us. And so we'd have a morning chore and an afternoon chore every single day. And we didn't get paid for this. It's just what you had to do to live in the house, basically. And but it was cool because it taught us interdependence. So every Wednesday, I think it was, I would have to cook dinner for the entire family. So now when you're cooking a meal for yourself, that's just one person. But when you cook a meal for 6 people, so you're basically doing something for others. But then the other 6 nights of the week, someone else cooks a meal for you. So like you have to only do it once, but you get it back 6-fold.
That is communal living.
Same with our washing. Yes, exactly. So like you learn it as a kid, actually. If the parents can structure it right, you learn it as a kid. It's not just clean up your room. You say you clean up everyone's room. I want you to vacuum the entire house and put everyone's toys away. But you only have to do this once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
For the other times, your brothers and sisters are going to do it for you. And it's the same amount of work. It's structured differently, but it encourages prosocial activity and interdependence. So it's, again, this is something like as a kid at the time, I was probably whinging and complaining about, why do I have to do everyone's laundry? But
and it works best. It works best when there's multiple people in the household, like a larger household too.
Of course. And then you expand that out to the world, and then you start to think, oh, I get it. Yeah, the guy who like fixes the potholes on the street is benefiting me. And, how do I benefit the world? I do it through my work. I do it through my giving. I do it through, where we invest our money, all that stuff, where we eat. Yeah.
I like this, Joel. I'm going to talk to my wife about this and perhaps integrate this into our parenting style.
Is Mia going to be, I want to see what Mia makes for dinner on her turn.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm going to have to work my way up to things as complicated as dinner. I think we could probably handle the cleaning up the rooms.
Yeah, tidying up.
Communal type activity now.
Yeah.
It'll be a work in progress. Joel, I will let you know how this goes when we do our 3rd episode together.
Yeah, I'm loving it. Thanks. Actually, I came up with that when I was talking with my mom about I was sort of like, Mom, how did you raise us to be so independent? And she was like, well, this and that. But to be honest, like interdependence. I'm like, what's that? And Mom's like, oh, you remember when we used to do this? Here's how it worked. And here's why. I'm like, oh, yeah. So like, it's not like at the time I knew the word and was dancing around. I was probably complaining as a kid, but like later on, I realized like that did so much good for me and the world later. So yeah, I hope to raise my kids the same way.
Well, you landed it by saying or your mom landed it with the term interdependence, which is a much better term than commune living or sister wives or any of the things that I brought up. So
that does sound really weird.
And I'll give you another example. These are the things I want to like tackle in retirement, by the way, where I want to, when I say tackle, I want to like come up with these ideas that I test out with my friends and leverage in my community to find ways to better things. But similar concept to kind of what you were talking about with your mom and how she divvied up some of the chores. I've had like amazing days where I'll go to a friend's house for a birthday party, and like one of my good friends, and it's like she basically has all of our kids over and like all of our, you know, friend group of kids. And it's a great day where like she took care of everything because it was a party. So she had the snacks, she had the food. I just showed up and hung out with my friends and drank some beers, and, you know, the kids had an awesome time hanging out with each other. And every time we leave a party like that, especially on a beautiful day outside, we're like, hey, who's doing this next weekend? Let's just take turns. Even when there is no birthday, let's just take turns like hosting a play date where we take care of everything. And just like you said, I'm going to show up to 8 of them. One of them I'm going to plan. But my kids are going to get something out of it. The parents are going to get something out of it where they get a stress-free afternoon that they just show up to or just drop their kids off at. And there's all these ways to even be generous and giving in our own small individual communities through this concept of interdependence, which I love.
Yeah. You know what? I should also credit my wife. And I say that because as a 20-something-year-old, you know, young little money-focused idiot like I was, if I was invited to a barbecue, I'd just bring a 6-pack and then I'd drink those 6 beers and then leave. And it's funny, as I started to, in Hawaii, you learn the value of community and family, and, you can't survive there if you don't contribute. And that's right when I met my wife as well. And she's a giver. She's a teacher. Right now, she doesn't need to be, but she does. She loves it. She's doing so many good things for this world, and she taught me how to contribute. And it started with just social situations, showing up to a party, and then hosting a party. You know, you take your turn hosting, they take their turn hosting. And just like you said, that's so cool, Maggie. And your kids seeing that and recognizing that, hopefully will grow up with the same type of thing. Oh, play date at your house this time, my place next time. I'll do the cleaning this time, you do the cleaning next time. It's sort of like it encourages that behavior. It's cool.
Love it. Okay, well, Mike, I'll be at your house this weekend. It's your turn first.
Hey, that would be awesome. I'd love that. So, Joel, you've given us a ton to think about, and honestly, I was taking some notes, and I want to like talk about some stuff with my wife and explore some new behaviors and practices. Which, by the way, like I never take notes in our other interviews, and when it comes to like we usually talk about financial stuff, and
I'm taking notes. Mike's talking.
Yeah. But this has been very insightful, and I think everybody's going to really appreciate it. So,
hey, Mike, can I? What? Before you go there, can I? Okay. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but when you were talking about taking your notes and wanting to like talk to Britta, I was thinking about the word intentional, because I was getting the sense that you're almost wanting to say like, I want to take some of these thoughts and ideas and be more intentional about what I'm doing, and I think that's a great takeaway for all of us from this discussion, right? Is just being more intentional. And again, I meant to say this at the beginning of the show, but like, this wasn't meant to be an interview. This was meant to be a conversation with Joel. And I hope it has been that. And I hope it's a conversation that sparks all of you to think about what could you be doing to be outrageously generous, to give what you can as you have it, right? Like, what could you be doing to have more prosocial behavior? What grave can you go visit on Halloween? I'm just kidding. I was just throwing that one in.
Well, one of the other things that I think has really been impactful about this conversation is not just about like, what are the new things that I could be doing, or what are the new things that other people could be doing when they hear this episode, but also really reflecting upon the things that we already do in our lives that create value and create gratitude. And so you talked about, your personal reaction to the good that you do in your life and how you feel afterwards. And it made me think about things that are just like, I don't consciously address, but like I do give my time and money and participate in activities, and they make me feel really good. But it's just like at this point, it's just kind of like normal day-to-day stuff. And I haven't thought about why those things make me feel good and what I can do to do more of it. And so being very intentional, Maggie, you're right. There is much more that I could be doing, and also and not just good for other people, but good for myself and good for my soul and a good example for my children. And so it's been really fantastic talking to you, John.
Oh, cool. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, I think, some things become a habit that it just becomes who you are. Oh yeah, Mikey's a nice guy, and you are really doing good things. Like you said, you give your time, you give your money, you're setting a good example. Sit and live in that goodness a little more. And it doesn't mean double down on the activities and do it so that, it just recognize it. You can augment it a little bit. Oh, you know what? I like it better when, we host versus this. And that's a really cool way. You guys know I wake up, early every day, and I sort of like jot down some notes and thoughts. It's a very simple practice. And one of those questions I sort of ask myself is, hey, what quick little thing can I do to, first of all, make my wife's day a little bit easier today? Just one task that I can take off her plate, even if it's 30 seconds. And then, what else can I do for someone else today that could be cool for them, even if it's just reaching out and asking a question. And it's just a habit that you get into on waking up, thinking about what you can do for someone else. And then, you recognize the benefits. So it just becomes a part of what you do. So it's intentional, like you were saying, Maggie. It's intentional.
Yeah, I think it's a good note to end on, and just an easy, actionable takeaway that people can use from this episode, hopefully, along with many other things that you've shared, Joel. So we really appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us talking about all things generosity focused.
I love chatting with you guys. No, this is awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. And I look forward to the next one I'm on, I don't know, in a couple of years' time or however long.
No, definitely sooner than that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joel.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thanks, Joel.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Mike. Bye, Joel.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. If you've been challenged or inspired by what you've heard today, please rate and review the show. You can also subscribe to make sure you never miss an episode.
If you have thoughts or questions, we would love to hear from you, and you can leave us a voicemail or text us at 404-981-3370, or you can hit us up on Instagram or Facebook.